Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a quick review of the MTH New York Central Hudsons. Although I just have the Empire State Express engine on hand, much of the same critiques also apply for their H.O. Dreyfuss Hudsons, as they use very similar tooling. While these models were made all the way back in 2009, I'm sure there are still many New York Central fans looking for one of these, and I have some thoughts I'd like to share about this engine. Since I'm sure most people already know how nice this model is from other YouTube videos, I plan on focusing more on the critiques and things other videos might not have mentioned in order to bring a different perspective. So without further ado, let's get started. Now before I actually talk about the engine itself, I wanted to quickly point out the outrageous prices these engines are going for these days. These MTH Empire State Express engines go for between $700 and $900 on eBay. Now keep in mind, the original MSRP for this was only $450, and even accounting for inflation, that would be $613 in 2022 money. This is an insane amount of money, and in my opinion, no engine should be worth that much. That being said, I do realize that besides the basic Veracity model and the MTH model here, there aren't really any other options for New York Central modelers out besides brass. I do hope that Scale Trains hopefully one day reproduces this model in the future, and that as a result the prices will come down, therefore allowing for more New York Central modelers to obtain one of these models. But currently the prices are just way too much. Okay, let's now take a look at the actual engine. As with all other MTH steam models, both the engine and tender bodies and frames are completely die-cast. This gives the model a very premium feel, although it doesn't necessarily translate to extra pulling power since the large smoke unit takes up much of the internal space. The paint is applied very evenly, although on my model, the paint separation lines could be better. The silver paint has a slight glittery metallic finish, and the gloss helps make it shine. While it doesn't quite match up to the real metallic finish on Walther's passenger cars, it still looks really good and matches the Empire State Express passenger cars perfectly. All labels and stamps are crisp and legible, including the builder's plate. I especially like how the front nameplate has a 3D text that actually sticks out and not just painted on. In real life, the J3as had their streamlining covering much of the pipework, resulting in a very minimal and clear appearance. MTH's model faithfully recreates this look. All piping I could see on the prototype photos is accurately recreated on this model. The shrouding and streamlining matched photos I found, and the brass-colored whistle and safety valves are well done. I especially like the cab interior, which looks fantastic. However, certain details under the side streamlining are very crudely represented or omitted entirely. This is okay, as it would be hard to see these without having the model upside down. A bigger complaint is that some of the detail which is clearly exposed also are rather crude, such as the feed water pump and dynamo. I find the thick plastic brackets holding the dynamo very distracting. This was clearly done to prevent them from being damaged, but I found it made the model look cheap. There's also a large gap between the trailing truck and firebox, exposing the trailing truck spring, as well as a huge gap near the front of the engine where the pilot sits. These large gaps further make the model look toy-like. The rest of the details is molded onto the die-cast frame. I honestly feel that many of the molded-on details look rather chunky and oversized. The edges on them looked soft and rounded and not at all crisp. Whether this is caused by the paint being overly thick or poor die casting is unknown. Certain areas like this rooftop vent are so obviously molded on. Many of these vents and hatches would have benefited significantly from etched brass parts, which should be expected at this price point. On the bottom of the engine, we can see the 6 powered drivers, all of which are sprung with soft springs. The skull and disc drivers look absolutely astounding on this model, and MTH intentionally left the rods unblackened. I do wish MTH would have painted the leading and trailing truck's wheels black. The engine is connected by a quote-unquote wireless drawbar, a feature common on all MTH engines. This particular style of drawbar is rather robust, with 2 contacts on the drawbar touching 2 contacts on the pin. While the drawbar is still made of plastic, it is durable and shouldn't wear out under normal conditions. Unlike the New York Central Mohawk from MTH, this drawbar actually has 2 holes, so you can couple your engine and tender either at a close prototypical distance or farther away if you have tight curves. Now let's move on to the tender. The tender looks great at a first glance. The fluted sides are well done, and the underframe looks great. However, that's about where the positives end. These tenders were basically stock New York Central tenders, but with thin sheeting covering the sides and ends. However, due to the limitations in die casting, the sheeting looks extremely thick, especially if you look from the water hatch area or from the back. As with all other MTH steamers, the coal load is oversized, with the scale coal being equivalent to the size of basketballs in real life. These are issues I would expect to see from a train set model, not on such a high-end $450 model. Now let's move on to the specs and features of this engine. This engine weighs an insane 1 pound 5 ounces, and the tender weighs an impressive 15 ounces, making this weigh a total of 2 pounds 3 ounces. This is more than enough to pull a decent sized train, however you can always use the included traction tires to further increase the pulling power. All 6 drivers pick up power from the engine, as well as all 12 tender wheels. This engine is equipped with an operating headlight, cab light, backlight, ground lights, smoke unit, and MTH's Protosound 3.0 sound system. The engine is powered by a powerful Cannon CAN motor with flywheel and gearbox, which connects to the center driver. The MTH theme engines have some of the best drives out there, and this one's no exception, delivering a silent mechanism with very smooth drive, which we can demonstrate right now. Alright, I'll give you a quick, short little sound sample. They're basically all the standard MTH sounds, so I'm just going to go through the bell, whistle, and maybe the station announcements, I guess, but everything else is basically the same. So here's the bell. Here's the whistle. It's an awesome whistle. MTH New York Central whistles are some of the best in my opinion, if not the best New York Central whistle, maybe besides QSI, so the whistle is honestly fantastic. Anyways, here's also the station stop announcements. I'm just going to have it run forward. And it'll just go through all the station announcements. I'm not going to go through the entire thing. The entire thing goes for like a solid 2 or 3 minutes, so I'm just going to skip it there. But you do hear that it actually does announce the Empire State Express, which is really, really cool. But yeah, let's actually move on to how it, how it moves and how it runs now. Alright, I muted the sound for now because you don't need to hear it, and we can actually see how, I can show you how quiet it actually runs. So for speed step 1, 2, 3. So something about MTH you guys should know is that their speed curves are really wacky, and so it's really hard to give it a smooth speed step, but that's speed step 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very smooth, as you can see. Classic MTH, electronics, you can kind of hear the weird buzzing and weird, high-pitched squeaking sounds. That's just electronics, that's not the actual mechanism. But you can see how smooth this engine runs. And it's being a little glitchier because this easy track is kind of crap, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, yeah, it runs really smooth. The reason it's stopping is because the easy track is uneven, because my easy track is kind of crap, at least the one I have right here is. But as you can see there, it's very smooth, very quiet. And it's a good top speed too, although I can't demonstrate it really with this easy track here, so. Yeah, really smooth runner. Overall, this engine is pretty solid. As I said, I focused more on the negative aspects of this engine in this video, because everyone already knows that this engine is fantastic. I figured I'd point out some things that other reviews might not have, and might have made this video appear overly critical. But overall, this engine really is great, despite its drawbacks here and there. Personally, the thick die-cast streamline shrouding on the tender is probably the most disappointing part of this model. It would have greatly benefited from the brass hybrid treatment that BLI chose to use when making their own Dreyfus, which was definitely the right decision, and makes theirs superior in my opinion. Nonetheless, this is still a great model. The outstanding mechanism, lights, and sound really help make this model amazing. I really do like the historically accurate ground lights, which MTH took the extra effort to add. Although I still don't think it's worth $700, I do think that this is a great engine, and would recommend it to any diehard NYC or Streamliner steamer fans. But that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on this engine. What are your thoughts on this engine? Do you guys think if my points are valid, or if they were invalid, or if I was being too picky, or if there's other points that I missed? Please let me know. If any of you also own this engine or are looking for one of these, also share them down below. Why not? Hopefully, maybe Scale Trains will make one in the future. We'll never see, or we'll never know. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, so anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This review is another one of those, highly edited, high production value videos that I'm trying to make more of, but it just takes so much time to make. But hopefully I can make a few more of these. In any case, though, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.